다른 메시지
아침을 깨우는 귀에 익숙한 나의 벨소리 무심결에 차가운 손을 뻗어 지난밤 새롭게 일어난 일은 뭐가 있는지 어쩌면 또 너에 관한 이야기 기분은 어떤지 서로 안부를 주고받을 때 세상한 내 모습 알아채버릴까 말도 되지 않는 공감거리는 눈을 못하다 세상이 바라게 웃고 있는 너 너만 가는 시간 속에 전화기 바보처럼 손에 넣지 못해 이 시간 속 돌려보는 지금 전하고픈 글자만 맴돌
All the characters in the story of fictional are based on the name called the Dispenser. The story is completely different from the actual name playing is fanfic. Also, if you wish to play the name is available at the store. Share its.co owns all the rights to the characters and the only songs of the story. Thank you.
The Life That Was Never Normal. Chapter 1. The Envelope. Kura was an average-looking girl who wore horn-rimmed black spectacles which were used for years and had black hair with a blunt cut. She was a little taller than average girls and always wore an old sweatshirt since it was easy to carry multiple things in it. She was wearing sports shoes which made it easy to run around the clock. Even as she was sitting cross-legged on her last desk near the window, the logo on her sports shoes shined in the sunlight. One thing peculiar about her was that she always wore an old worn-down watch which belonged to her mother. Throughout the day during school, Kura kept thinking about what happened in the morning. Her proposing to Se-young and being rejected would soon become the talk of the school. She was not upset about being rejected, but on her way back to her classroom, she heard that Se-young was a role model student who always scored highest in the grade and the teachers, especially the vice principal, loved him. Kura knew that her actions would be considered rude by the vice principal and she might get good scolding for that. The more I think, the more strange I find it. Did Tina simply want to use me as an excuse to talk to Se-young? Since they are in the same class, she could have simply said hi. She is not really the shy type. Or is it that she also thought that getting yelled at by teachers was an add-on bonus? Nah, she cannot come up with that idea on her own. Maybe it was some bet. She likes to bet. She will probably get something from this. That is for sure. I will know soon. While she was in deep thought, the bell rang for maths class. Mr. Han entered the class and looked at Kura intensely, which brought her attention back to class. Mr. Han was 55 years old and had been teaching this class for the last 30 years. He has sharp gray eyes and short black hair with a 6 feet tall body. His highly maintained lifestyle prevented him looking his age and he still looked in his early 40s. Mr. Han never let Kura off the hook, always making sure that she is on the right track. Kura was grateful for this as rarely anyone kept an eye on her. Maths was one of her favorite subjects despite deciding to be a doctor, and she was the top scoring in maths all these years. No one except Mr. Han, the principal, and her homeroom teacher Ms. Kang knew about this of course, and he would always test her knowledge to make sure she does not slack off. At the end of the class, everyone was about to leave, but Mr. Han asked Kura to stay behind. Kura knew this was coming. I heard of your little adventure, Kura. Mr. Han said, when everyone left the class. It was not voluntary, I assure you, sir. Kura said, looking at him. Ah, Tina again. Yes. Well, it is sad then. Se-young is a good kid. Of course, if you don't like him, I can introduce you to my grandson, Seren. Mr. Han said, sir, your grandson Seren and I are study partners, you see. So, it was a joke. I don't want you to fall for the idiot my grandson is. Mr. Han cleared. Your joke is as always out of my league. Just like your cousin's requests are mine. Mr. Han, will you punish her? That depends on how other kids treat you. Mr. Han got out of his chair and left. Kura looked at the desk he was sitting on just now. That reminds me, the empty envelope I had this morning is still in the drawer of my desk. I think I should put a real letter in it to honor the envelope, thought Kura. She took out her favorite colored pencil and started writing on a page of her diary. A day filled with your presence. An hour filled with your presence. A minute filled with your presence. A moment filled with your presence. For my mind, is eternity I truly live in. She then tore the page and put the letter in the envelope. She hid that envelope inside the same diary which had a hidden pocket on the back cover. She then locked the diary and put it inside her locker to show Misa later. She then hurried out of school for her volunteer work at the hospital in the afternoon. She did not know that someone's curiosity had brought his attention to her and compelled him to visit her. A tall guy with mint-colored eyes was looking at Kura, who was rushing out of her classroom after putting her diary in the locker. He thought about her action for a second and then turned around, went back to his classroom.
What do you think about this chapter? Do you think Kura's actions will spark the new kid's interest in her? Will Se-young dig deeper into the reasons behind Kura's choices? Stay tuned and follow for the next chapters.